President Liebegott, trustees, faculty, class of 2010, and those of you just paid $200,000 for these seats at the front each. Ladies and gentlemen, and all of those of you in between, thank you very much for that welcome. Thank you, too, for the honorary degree. It was a hell of a lot easier than the first degree. I am actually somewhat nervous. I've never been to a commencement. You can tell from my accent that I was once one of the huddled masses. And we didn't do graduation or commencement. They just sort of spat us out. So when you did me the great honor of asking me to be your commencement speaker, I asked various friends, academics, what was expected of me. And they said that all I need do, it's very simple, is congratulate you and advise you. Well, the first bit is easy. Ladies and gentlemen, this, in my experience, is the most brilliant, best looking, sexiest, most elegant, most wonderful class ever to graduate from Emerson College. So, I know you all join me in congratulating them. I do congratulate you. Well done. Now, that was the easy bit, because I now have to give you advice. And I asked those same friends, and I said, okay, you all graduated, some of you a long time ago. What advice did you get at your graduation? 87% could not remember. They had absolutely no idea, which suggests my presence here is about as much use as an ashtray on a motorbike, but we have to push on, don't we? 20 years from now, some of you will be in this same hall, maybe watching your own sons or daughters graduate, and you're going to think, what did that guy say? You've no idea. But anyway, I thought to give you some useful advice, something really concrete, something that will keep you out of trouble, something that will really stand you in good stead. Never play poker with a man called Doc. It works. But my wife, who knows about these things, tells me that I have got to be slightly more useful than that. I've got to uplift you, she said, so I shall try. It's quite possible that one of this graduating class will fail. You'll become a politician. And maybe what you have learned here will equip you to such an extent that you'll become President of the United States. I hope when that happens that she will come back and visit Emerson College. But even if she does, or whatever you do, whatever success you have, and I wish you all success, whatever dreams you have that come true, none of that is going to guarantee your happiness. Success doesn't guarantee happiness. Selling 37 million books does not guarantee happiness. It helps. Doesn't guarantee it. What will guarantee your happiness is for you to think for yourselves, to become decent, honorable people. And that's my second piece of advice, the one you're going to forget. Think for yourself. Think for a moment what people have believed in the past. Astrology was reckoned to control our fate. Some people still believe that. When I was a journalist, I had a very good friend who worked on a tabloid in London, and he had to do the daily horoscope. It's a very important job in many, many newspapers. And he also had to put in his expenses every month or so. Now, as some of you will learn, or maybe you've already learned, journalists' expenses are the highest form of fiction. They usually lead to great arguments, but luckily the man who actually had to pay out the money was an enormous, enormous fan of the horoscope. So every day that he had to put in his expenses, he would put under Scorpio, "This is not a day to clash with colleagues. Your life will go badly wrong if you get into an argument today." He became richer and richer. People thought astrology controlled our fates, and it does in that situation, but normally I don't think it does. In the 12th century, they thought that celery was poisonous. I think that may well be true, I'm not sure. We all know that Galileo, what trouble he incurred for suggesting that the earth went round the sun and not the other way round, did you also know that Murillo, the painter, was arrested by the Inquisition for daring to suggest that the Madonna had toes? In the 19th century, at the beginning, it was believed that traveling at greater than 30 miles an hour would be dangerous for your health. It could even kill you. I must say the Chatham police on Cape Cod still believe that. Less than 100 years ago, a textbook that was widely used in colleges throughout the United States and, for all I know, in Europe too. It was called Applied Eugenics. It sold hundreds of thousands. It claimed that educating girls at college was tending towards race suicide. And why? I want you to listen to this, girls. Many a college girl of the finest innate qualities, who sincerely desires to enter matrimony, is unable to find a husband of her own class simply because she has been rendered so cold and unattractive, so overstuffed intellectually and starved emotionally that a typical man does not desire to spend the rest of his life in her company. It's a pity you couldn't warn your daughters of that 4 years ago. And if you think that eugenics was a crank science, and that people really didn't believe in it, consider that in 1927, the Supreme Court of the United States, by a vote of 8-1, found it constitutional to sterilize people who were deemed to be mentally subnormal in the name of eugenics. We have held beliefs, I don't have to tell you of the more egregious ones that we have all been guilty of. We hold beliefs that we are assured are true. Your job is to challenge everything, to think for yourself. All those ideas and thousands more were preposterous, were reprehensible. They were not held because our ancestors were evil. Women were not burned as witches because men were intrinsically bad, but because man wanted to do good. Those ideas are the accepted ideas of their time, and all I'm trying to suggest to you is think for yourself. Think for yourself. I don't care what the opinion is, think it through. This college has equipped you, I hope, to think. If there is any purpose to education, it's not the facts and figures. It's not even the parties. It's not even waving to Emily. But hell, you should do that before you leave here. It is learning to think. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to advice. You should listen to advice. Years ago, I was researching a novel in India. I needed to know how deep a river was. In all the history books, it just said that some men crossed the river. It didn't say how deep the river was, and it was important to know. And there was an island in the center of the river, and there were some crops in it. And I walked into the river to find out, and a voice behind me said, Sahib. And I was first astonished, because I didn't think people called you Sahib, but they do. And I ignored him, because I thought, well, I need to cross this river to find out how deep it is, and he thinks I'm going to trample on his crops. I assumed he was the farmer. And he doesn't want me to do that, but I need to find out how deep the river is, so I'm going to keep going. So I went a bit further, and the water was up to my knees, and he said, Sahib. And I thought, no, damn you, I am still going to cross this river. My readers need to know how deep this is. And he went, Sahib, and I thought, we were the occupying power. I want to cross this river. And he said, Sahib, crocodiles. I never did get across the river. Listen to advice, but think for yourself. There are horrible dangers out there. There are even lawyers waiting for you. Well done, all of you. Really well done. You've been to one of the great colleges in one of the most blessed states, in what is certainly the most blessed country in the world. You are well launched. I will leave you with this advice from somebody who knew how to give it. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Farewell, my blessing, season thee in this. Thank you. Good luck.